So my friends, it is Jennifer of Jenza's Garden and Jenza's Flower Essences, and I want to talk about Aries. So I have made all the flower essences for the 12 signs of the Zodiac. It was a labor of love. I also did the 7 planetary days, and I did the elementals, just 4 of them. I know there can be more, depending on your practice. So it's spring. It is spring, and I want to talk about Aries. We're going into the season of Aries. So this is a blend of, actually there's a few. I'm like going through the date in my head, but I can't tell you the recipe because it's a secret. But all the plants, the flower essences that are in my Aries blend have a zodiac association to Aries, to Mars and Aries. And that's what made the blend. I dowsed for every flower essence that went into the Aries blend, as I did all of them. And you might ask, well, how do I use an Aries? I know if I'm doing a campaign that is about communicating with higher source, or red clover, could be, or Joe Pye weed, could be like releasing whatever overwhelms me. But when I'm dealing with a zodiac, how am I using that? What am I using that for? Well, there can be some different ways. You could first, number one, you are papers. You're just looking to kind of embrace that energy. Maybe you are an Aries sun sign or moon sign or ascendant. I always think it's important to know not have it all memorized, but know the top ones. Know your sun sign, know your moon sign, know your ascendant. There's one more I'm thinking. North node, know your north node. Very important. So you could work on it with one of the 4 basics. What are you dealing with in your own stuff? So that's one way. You just want to work with, I'm a sun sign. This is my moon sign, my ascendant, or it is, and it can be any of the other signs, like any of the other stuff in the zodiac, but those are the 4, or the north node. It was the 4th I was going to talk about again. It could be you are just wanting to embrace like spring and the Aries, so the number 2, you're embracing spring. You're embracing the season of Aries, and you want to work with it that way. So that was number 2. Well, what if you did now? Well, let's go back to the seasons for a moment, embracing that energy. So you're embracing that Aries, the beginning energy, the I am energy of Aries. So I am. It's spring, I am. I'm taking action. I'm becoming, right? So you're embracing that action energy, that spring energy, spring to action energy. That could be a way. Because let's say you're feeling, I have too much of that energy. Maybe you're trying to balance. Sometimes we need to take something that we have out of balance or too much of to help us balance that. You also do the exact opposite of it. But maybe it's called to you like, I'm out of balance with my action. Like sometimes I do a little too much action. I take a little too much action. Maybe I should slow down. So that could be a way that I would want to work with it, or someone has too much of that fire in them. Remember, Aries is the cardinal fire. Like it's the start. It's this flick. This flick is the flick of everything, the spark of everything, right? Ignites that Aries energy. So we're igniting. Maybe we don't have any of that energy. And that's another way. You want to bring in that energy because you don't have it and you need to bring it in. So definitely a different way to work with it. Maybe you do know your natal chart, and that's something I'm going to be going in one of my classes. So know your natal chart and where does Aries fall? So I took a deep dive this week and where's my Aries? Oh, my Aries is in the 11th house. All right, what's going on in the 11th house? Oh, and what do I have in Aries? Like what signs in Aries? I look at my sons are twins. They have nothing in Aries. Nothing going on in Aries. Maybe they need some Aries. Give a little action, right? I only have one thing in Aries, and it's Chiron. And then I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, well, where's Chiron? What's Chiron doing right now? I don't know much about Chiron, but now I do. I'm in my Chiron returns. Apparently it's like a 7-8 year kind of thing. I'm in the middle of it. Do you know what it is? It is your midlife crisis. Your Chiron returns. That could be like my midlife crisis could be, okay, we're having that moment. It is that compulsion to keep on doing things because my Chiron is in Aries. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's like why I keep on doing and everyone gets worried about me. Jen, you're doing a lot, but I don't feel like I'm doing enough. Explains my whole midlife crisis. I'm loving my midlife crisis though. I think I'm excelling at it. So when Chiron was starting for me in Aries, was the start of my divorce. Love this. Okay, so bad. Happy person, bitter person. So that may be one way I'm working with it. So, you know, where does it fall? My 11th house. That's relationships and things. I gotta, all right. Other stuff. What is the 11th house? Because that's where mine is. My sons were about here. I want to say probably in their 9th or 10th house. And nothing was in there. So maybe they need to work in it or someone else needs to work in, you know, what house does it fall in? Now, on the other hand, is Aries is the first house of the zodiac. And with that, the first house is appearance. It is health, character, first impressions, first approach to situations, life, identity. And again, the I am energy. So that is another way you might want to work with Aries. You know, maybe you're having an identity crisis. Maybe you're like, who am I? Maybe you're finding yourself, refinding yourself, changing everything. So that could be another way to work with Aries. So I am. So how do we work with the energy of Aries as in a flower essence? To go backwards. Where does it fall in? It's in the first house of the chart. So if you're working with anything in that first house, you can work with Aries. Where does it fall in your chart? Take a look at it. Maybe that's the energy you want to work with. Maybe you're just trying to get that motivation, the I am energy, the doer energy. And that could be because you have a lack or you have too much. It can simply be your sun sign, or it could be springtime and you want to work with it. Well, Jen, how do you work with it? So, okay, now you kind of told me in what ways I'm working with it, but how do you really do it? I like to use it before meditation, before journaling, and also depends how you're working with it. So is it because you're not taking action or you're taking too much action? So maybe before you're planning to do something and that you need that, like, okay, I can do this, I can do it. You need to take action, but you're not doing it. Take some Aries and then proceed. Like, take it to have that energy. You need to say, like, wait, you have an overwhelming amount of energy and we're going to work with it in a way to, like, be a little stiller. Take it then. And when I say take, FDA. So most people take flower essences under the tongue, 2 to 3 drops, 3 to 4 drops. You can also do it on your pulse points. I like to have a little notebook near my flower essences. When I do take a flower essence, I kind of hold with it for a moment. And the first image, that first words, I like to write down what they are. So, Aries, you can find it. I see a lot of circles, but that could be the ring. So Aries, you can find my flower essences online at jenzasgarden.com. I am bringing them over to my Etsy, Jenza's Garden.